Welcome to Talking It Up. Today, again, we are with Angshuman and Dr. Anindita Bhadro to talk about street dogs and setting priorities. When we talk of setting priorities, we are talking of three aspects that animal lovers normally engage in. Other than awareness, of course, which goes without saying, generating awareness, but three things that we normally do: feeding, vaccination, and sterilization. So, my question to both of you, from different perspectives that you work in, what are the priorities? How would you want to rank them?
Again, I will speak from the biologist's point of view. I have very strong views about both feeding and sterilization. I was actually telling Angshuman some time back that do we even have a right to sterilize? Because biologically speaking, every species is supposed to reproduce and produce a lot of offspring. That's what Charles Darwin said, and that's what evolutionary theory says. When you are sterilizing an animal, a 1-year-old animal is now biologically old, which basically means you are forcing an animal to lead all its life as an old individual, because you like the animal, because you want to have it with you, you want to love it, you want to feed it, you want to again create a robot which is out there for you. What is it doing there? Why not kill it if you don't want it to lead a biologically active life? So that is my take on it from a biologist point of view, strictly. But then when we come to the real problems of, people want dogs to be there but want to reduce population, what do we do? Firstly, let me tell you, the natural mortality rate is very high. Our data says it's 81% in the early stages of life. So anyway, if there are 5 pups born in a litter, 4 of them will die if you allow them to die. If you vaccinate them, feed them, pet them, keep them in shelters, they will not die, and then we will cause the increase in the population. So that's the problem. So first, I think from the perspective of human dog coexistence, vaccination is the good point to start, because as long as they are there and we want them to be community dogs, then we are exposing ourselves, our children, to possible zoonotic diseases. So anti-rabies vaccination is something that I always suggest is a good idea, and the minimum invasive vaccination process.
But there's the other vaccine. What do you have to say about that? It makes more dogs live, the DHPPIL and those.
Again, as I said, biologically speaking, I always prefer minimum interference. But again, if you definitely want your dogs to live longer, then they're your dogs. You better take care of them. You better make sure that they don't get into conflict with other people. You are not disturbing other people in the community. So just having the welfare of the dogs in mind in the community is not good enough. You have to be a community together to ensure that the dogs survive. Otherwise, it doesn't help. You're creating more conflict. So definitely vaccination and anti-rabies vaccination is something that I think is required if dogs are there and you want to take care of them. Probably I would say followed by feeding, but responsible feeding, not hand to hand feeding, or I have seen people who would come with a bucket full of food and feed all the dogs in the neighborhood. No, possible dumping of food so that they have enough resources, then let them fight it out, let them use their own hierarchies, let them use their own social dynamics, and then sterilization is the last resort. That would be my hierarchy of things.
But if we do that, again going back to your point, that if we vaccinate all the pups, that 81% mortality will come down, will it not be a problem?
Anti-rabies vaccination will not really influence that.
I agree.
Yes, that's why I said I would definitely recommend anti-rabies vaccines. But then if you want, so again, whether you want to really make everybody survive, I wouldn't recommend that. Again, sounds very inhuman.
Yeah, because we are thinking like humans, that we want less children, but all of them live. So that means the way we generally in our animal groups we recommend is quite the reverse of what you say, that
Yes.
you
Sterilize.
get the numbers down, and then make sure with both kinds of vaccines that it lives.
Actually, I'll tell you something. With sterilization, we are also seeing in our campus, we have done some sterilization, and then we are seeing that that does not really stop infiltration, because finally all sterilization projects happen in pockets. We cannot do it on a mass scale, and eventually dogs, smart dogs, will find out that this is a rich resource, population is not expanding, move in there. And then in doing that, you are going to again increase dog-dog conflict, because there would be a lot of territorial fights happening. So that always works in a very large scale, state-wise, which is very expensive, not very feasible, we don't end up doing it. But my entire point in all of this is we have survived with dogs for centuries without going through all of these, simply because we let biology take over. Now we are not doing that. We are having our own social norms, which we are again thrusting on the dogs for everything. Be it pet dogs, be it street dogs, we think they are humans, but they are not. We don't do this for rats, for example. We have a lot of them. We don't care.
In spite of dogs and cats being our associate animals, instead of interfering in their lives, we should rather let them be, and where there is a conflict, we should rather go for the community and awareness thing rather than they own it.
Absolutely.
Rather than going into the individual dogs and how they are.
Exactly, because the dogs, we see them as individuals, we get tied up to individual dogs or maybe a group of dogs at the most one litter, but then for them they are part of a community, they are part of a large social network, and we know that there are dogs. So for example, when the mating season comes, males would go into neighboring territories, mate and come back. Females change their behavior, allow males to come in and mate. Pregnant females would often go off from their groups. When the group is very large, they would try to find a new territory. All of these dynamics get interfered with when we are doing things to dogs in pockets.
I can see what you are saying, but the thing is, so many of our animal lovers are not thinking like this. So there's another question, that how has this been achieved in other countries? I mean, reduction of dog population. I know for one thing is they euthanize also, which we do not.
So most countries where people are really concerned are the so-called developed nations, where they don't allow dogs on streets. So they just kill, right? They'll get picked up and nobody claims them, they'll be culled. That is the way, which we don't do. We have a very dog friendly or animal friendly animal rights policy. There are many countries, so African countries for example, where dogs are part of the community and they're there. I know of certain countries where people take the dogs from the village, kids typically do that, take the dogs of the village to these camps for anti-rabies vaccinations, and then they bring them back. So there are different ways in which people engage, and as long as anti-rabies vaccination is happening, that itself keeps people, at least the community, safe, and then this unfriendliness gradually comes down, knowing that these dogs are safe. Because a lot of people are upset, those dogs are barking and my kids go out to play and the dogs will bite and then my child can get rabies. All of these become a big issue.
So it's more like perception management in...
I think so. And also in India, I find it very awkward, because growing up in India, I mean, all our lives we have lived around dogs. Have you seen this kind of an anti-dog, pro-dog war going on when we were say 13 or 14 years old? This is a very, very new thing that we have somehow imported into India, and again I would be very unpleasant to some people, because I have personally seen people who have spent some years abroad and come back, they kind of import this notion of what a dog should be from the West into India. And that is, I think, very unfortunate, because we have always had a very friendly, community friendly, dog friendly environment, or animal friendly, we have always been a very tolerant nation, tolerant culture, which I think is coming down.
Okay. That's an interesting view. Animesh?
No, I have nothing to say. So from your perspective right now, how is the activist world working?
What we see mostly is some of them are only doing feeding, actually most of them,
Yes.
And then that means, as she opined, that there will be more dogs. They are not even vaccinating there, so there will be more conflict.
That's the easiest thing to do, right? Feed.
Yeah.
And show that you are a dog lover.
Yeah, and then there are other kinds who are doing sterilization and vaccination and feeding, which in their pocket probably manages the conflict, but where she has raised an ethical question whether we are entitled to do that or not to a species. So, but the thing is, what she says is a bit of a gap from what we are doing now, and maybe we have to rethink a few things, especially maybe with help of guidance like what she's just now we have started learning, because it's a learning for me also, today's session.
No, and actually, we had never had any data on populations of dogs, because all the understanding of dog came from research done on pet dogs inside labs. So we are the first time in the world who are doing work in the field with dogs about the basic biology. And I can also see people, researchers in the West now, who, it's very interesting, often people ask me, what is your biggest contribution to dog research? And I say, I think my biggest contribution is I have now motivated some people in the West, in Europe, who have been working on dogs for many years now inside their labs. They are now going to developing nations like countries in Africa, countries in Southeast Asia, to find free-ranging dog populations and start working on them. Because people have understood that to understand the biology of a system, you need to go and look at natural populations. We don't have good enough understanding.
Okay, that was quite insightful. A bit contrary to what Angshuman just said, the animal lovers do in current times. But yeah, there are things to look into, various aspects, and thanks for bringing them up. Thanks a lot for watching, viewers. We will come back with other episodes of similar nature, and we will have Professor Bhadro with us a few more times. We'll take that liberty of taking her time. Thanks, Angshuman.